Hi guys. Today we have unusual video because I have a guest with us and Andrei Solomadov. And recently I went through his course on types of personalities to do better work for you, to understand people better, and to know how to combine people better into matches.
Hi, thanks for having me. Hi to everyone who's watching us. Then, when I was already about 35 or 37 years old, I had a second degree as a psychologist, and I have like separate specialization in psychodiagnostics. So my special interest is personality types, temperament types, characters, etc., etc., and I do really deep analysis in this field. So I hope what we are going to talk about today is going to be really useful and interesting.
And we have a very important question to discuss today because men can sometimes make mistakes because when they meet a woman, especially a woman from different culture, they can miss important red flags. And let's discuss it to prevent these mistakes if possible. And first question is in the beginning of the relationship, what can be these red flags that can be seen in women when you just start dating?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, we should say that there is no, we're not going to label someone. So we're not going to be labeling women. That's really important to notice that, because everything I would say is can be also connected to men. So these red flags we can see on both sides. But as of today, we're talking for our masculine part of audience. That's why we will talk specifically about where should you look when you're having starting relationships with women. Well, but first and the most important, where I would say 70-80% fail. When I say fail, I'm talking about the percentage of divorces. That is huge in modern times. And why it happens this way, why the numbers are so big, because people are falling in love too fast. So that's the first red flag. If you only starting your relationships and you starting to feel what people calling the love from the first sight, so that's the first red flag. Because if you're falling in love too fast, really fast, I don't know, just the first date, you spend a few hours together, or you barely know each other, and you starting to feeling those feelings, they drowning you, etc., etc. Well, yeah, that's fun. That's okay, but you should be aware of that. The love is a feeling. Love is something that grows. So you have to make some time for it. First 2 weeks, let's say, is just hormones.
But
And
how
you
can we
should.
control it if it's hormones, if it's our body?
Oh,
How to control it? How not to
I
fall in love?
I would say that you should enjoy it, not to control.
Uh-huh.
Hormones is okay. 2 weeks, it's going to end, and you will start to look more sober, let's say, on your partner, either it's a man or woman, doesn't matter. That's why in ancient times they were really careful about this. So in Ukrainian culture, because I'm from Ukraine ethnically, we have these things called вечерницы. It's evenings. In English, it could be translated. So it's evenings when young girls and young guys come together at a separate place, and they have adults with them, which looking for, in case something weird starting to happen. So it's for flirting, it's for knowing each other, and this type of practices are presented in different cultures. So those 2 weeks, you should be really careful not to make fast conclusions. If you fall in love, you feel yourself deeply in love, that's not always a good sign, because there's this interesting mechanism. We should talk about how people choose their partners, because it connected to your parents' figures. So no matter it's man or woman, there's only two ways we are choosing our partners. So as a reference, we use our our parent. So if it's a man, he uses his mother as a figure, as a reference. If it's a woman, she uses her father. And there are
So
two ways. Yep.
tell
Sure.
me, please, if, for example, boy or man had like cold and distant mother, or
Yeah.
girl, she didn't have a father at all. So how do they choose?
Two ways. First way, they looking for the same. So if a boy had a distant mother, he will be looking for a distant partner. Distant, manipulative, without empathy, controlling, well, something like this. Other way, he will look for somebody completely different, hyper caring, really, really tender. So vice versa. And I think if every man who's watching us now just make the rewind of his relationships previous and ask himself a question: were my partners more like my mother or not like my mother at all? So you will see there are only two options over there, because you don't have any references. Only reference you have from your childhood is your mother, or maybe the woman who raised you, if it was your, I don't know, grandmother, or your the couple who adopted you. So, but basically it's this. And if you falling in love too fast, that's a red flag, actually, because then people starting to understand in I don't know, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, in a year. So it depends, they starting to understand that this is not my mother. Well, not literally, they're not saying this in their head, but they're starting to be disappointed somehow. And this disappointment manifests itself as an anger, as I'm not happy with she doing this. She could be better in this, etc., etc. Well, maybe she could be better in something. All of us can be better in something. But if you feeling yourself frustrated on the first period of relationships, and first you were, deeply in love, well, about your relationship with your mother. So people are, how do you say, not mixing, putut, getting confused.
Да.
So they're confusing their mother with their partner. So that's the basic mechanism.
And is there a choice then to have loving, healthy relationship if, let's say, man didn't have loving mother,
Well,
or he
yeah,
should
sure.
go to therapy as a must, or he can avoid
Well,
it?
sure. The therapy is always a good idea, as a fitness is a good idea. Well, it's not for everyone, but it's a good idea for your mental health and for deep relationships, meaningful, evolving, etc., etc. Better relationships in every way. But well, without therapy, less likely, let's say, because people doesn't change if they do not want to change. If you don't go to the therapy, well, maybe you can go to some, religion traditions, spiritual traditions, etc., etc. Any form of therapy works. And it's a huge amount of, how do you say, of energy to have these relationships. So there are cases in my practice when people meet each other, they falling in love, then they understand that, well, something is wrong. Maybe I just didn't realize it's not my mother or it's not my father, and they're starting to work on it. Well, it takes time. It takes energy, but it pays. Let's say. So there's always a chance. Therapy is always a good choice, but you should be ready, to change yourself. And basically, it's if you want to have a good relationships, basically work. You should be working on yourself. It's not about your partner, it's work on yourself.
But you know what? I'm working with men and women in the field of matchmaking for 20 plus years. And when I talk to men, especially, as for women, they are looking for different things. But as for men, they are looking for immediate attraction. So when they meet a woman for the first time, they usually feel it like in 5 seconds. And they can tell me, I want to continue with her, to talk to more to her, and so on. And I don't want. And they understand about it in few seconds, it seems. As for women, they look more at actions of men, if they are caring, if they are warm, and if they are interested in her, and so on. And they can open up later. But for men, The scheme is different, and sometimes I can recommend some girl and say she's warm, she's wonderful, but I don't like her. I don't like her pictures. That's it, and they don't want
Oh,
to continue.
pictures. Okay. Well, if he's looking on the pictures, then maybe it's biology things, because we are different. Men and
Mm-hmm.
women are different in a biology level and psychology level. We are two different species. Well, we're not, people. There are men, there are women.
Mm-hmm.
We're so different. I don't understand how we are getting along together, but that's a miracle, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in men's case, it's more biology thing because the evolutionary task of a man is to make as many children the man could. So
Mm-hmm.
of course he can make fast decisions. For women, it's more about security, it's more about liability. So it's also biology. There
Mm-hmm.
there are, there is a biology component. Let's say it's not all biology, but on the first stage when we don't know each other on what we can make our choices based on what. Okay, based on
Mm-hmm.
previous experiences, we have our mother or father as a reference, and we
Mm-hmm.
have some biology background. Very nice to listen to the Robert Sapolsky about this when he's talking about this relationship between sexes.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Uh-huh. So what could be the next red flag? So first is falling in love quickly, and second.
Yeah, the next red flag is it's most dangerous one, I would say, because it can make men addicted. The
Mm-hmm.
woman, vice versa, work for women. That's it's really important to know. It's not about the poor man. No, it's
Mm-hmm.
about addiction that can be made in every person by his or her partner. So how it works? First, you met your partner, and there's a first period that is wonderful. So
Mm-hmm.
it's divine. The relationships are great. It's very funny. You feel like chosen one. You feel that all your needs are satisfied. The sex is terrific, and you're thinking you're find the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, well, that might be the problem. So you should not how do you say uh, not to be really inspired by that. It's hard, but just you should know if
Mm-hmm.
something happens next. What I'm going to talk about, you should pay attention. What can happen next is detachment. So there are some types of people which called narcissists.
Mm-hmm.
In our culture, we think that the men are more narcissistic, but the study says no, it's about 50-50. So there are
Mm-hmm.
narcissistic men, there are narcissistic women, they act
Mm-hmm.
differently, but
Mm-hmm.
this cycle of adoration and then detachment, it's common ground for them.
Mm-hmm.
How it works. So, okay, you meet, everything great, then she disappears, or she makes you suffer in some way. Says you did something wrong, you should think about your behavior, etc., etc. So the relationships are changing really fast to the opposite. It was plus,
Mm-hmm.
now it's minus,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the starting of addiction. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
hook.
Mm-hmm.
After this detachment, there's again you getting together, everything's fine. So
Mm-hmm.
in this cycle, positive, negative, positive, is creating in your brain the mechanism. Brain understands that to feel yourself good, you have to feel bad. You have to
Mm-hmm.
tolerate these detachments. You have to do everything what she wants, even if you don't want to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
when this cycle are repeated in
Mm-hmm.
many times, the addiction become deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how people go into these toxic relationships. Well, basically that's the formula of toxic relationships. If you want to have toxic relationship with somebody, adore them, detach, then adore again, and
Mm-hmm.
repeat. So
Mm-hmm.
in brain it will form these neurological pathways, and it will be physiologically really hard to end, to stop this. It's like a drug.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge red flag if you have these cycles.